Hi, I'm Bill Beute, and I have three brief areas to discuss this morning. The first is gratitude. I am very appreciative that me, my brother Art, and my sister Nancy were all born into Trinity. We were baptized here, had confirmation classes, and were married here. Jill and I have three children, Seth, Ethan, and Suzanne. Two of the three were baptized here, two of the three were married here, and all three, plus Jill as an adult, had confirmation classes here. I'm also very grateful that the Trinity pastors conducted the funeral services for both my parents and for Jill. Jill and I were always appreciative of all the friends we had here at Trinity and how much they meant to us and still do. The second area is education. I think the single most important educational experience I had here was the 2-year Bethel Bible series weekly with Barb Crossman as my instructor. The third area is fun. We certainly have had a lot of fun here, but my most fun was when I was a kid. Initially I had boys choir in elementary, then confirmation as a 7th to 9th grader, and we were dropped off here and then we had to take the bus home, so we were at the old church. We walked downtown to Monroe Avenue, and there we could be unfettered for 4, 5, and 10-cent stores. Kresge's, Green's, Grant's, and Woolworth's. At Woolworth's, we got a hot dog and a root beer for 26 cents and 10 cents for malted milk balls for the trip home. Sometimes Lars Johnson, Bill Hart, or Bill Schaefer accompanied me. If I was alone, I might go to the library or spend the entire afternoon at a downtown theater, which included the Regents, the Keiths, the Midtown, and the Majestic. When I got done, I'd walk down to Cucci's Hardware, 328 Monroe, and my dad would give me a ride home at 5:30.
Hello, my name is Scott Stoll. I have been a member of Trinity Lutheran Church since the day I was born. I was baptized at the old chapel on Bostwick Avenue. I was confirmed here. I've been a member ever since. I've raised 3 children. Every one of them were baptized here. 2 of my children were married here, and I've enjoyed my relationship with the people at Trinity Lutheran and my relationship with the Lord at Trinity Lutheran Church for a lifetime. My family's history goes back a long ways with Trinity Lutheran. My great-grandfather was a charter member. My grandfather, Earl, was a member from the time he was not quite born, but he remembers putting in the cornerstone in 1898 at Bostwick Avenue, or he did remember it. He's long since passed away. My father was born a member back in 1920 and baptized here. He married my mother, who was also a member here, and my grandparents on that side were members from the mid-1920s. In 1946, and subsequently had 3 children, me being the youngest. They were all baptized here, and we all went through confirmation class here. Unfortunately, I'm the last Stoll here. Those 2 have moved away. Most of my cousins who were here, and I saw every Sunday growing up, have all moved away also. Most of them don't live in the area. Hopefully I can keep the tradition going on with one of my children, but we'll figure that out as years go on. Growing up here was great. I remember coming to Sunday school. My mother was a Sunday school teacher. I remember some of the older teachers, old names that some of you might remember, like Mrs. Eckberg and Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Ridings, and some others that were my Sunday school teachers. They reminded me throughout the years that it wasn't always easy to deal with, but it was a pleasure having them. And years later, they allowed me to be a Sunday school teacher. Imagine that. Also growing up here, I recall we had a Boy Scout troop here for 3 or 4 years, of which myself and my cousins were members of. Well, that was a lot of fun. We did a lot of stuff down in the old fellowship hall, back when they called it that. And I can recall when it was late, some of us would sneak up into the church and turn the lantern lights on top of the church and crawl up there. Hopefully they've got that door locked today. But, you know, we just had a lot of fun. Back then there wasn't really any youth group, but we went around that because most of the other people that were my age, I went to school with. Everybody either went to East Grand Rapids or Forest Hills. There was no Northern or anything back then. It was just Forest Hills or Ottawa Hills, of which in my picture for my graduation from confirmation class in 1970, there's 5 or 6 that I went to school with. We all knew each other. We saw each other at events such as basketball games, football games, even parties. And everybody got along great. And you know, all the way through confirmation, you always complained about having to go, but once you got there, you were happy to be there.
My name is Joanna Waite, and I am a lifelong member here at Trinity Lutheran Church. My mom, Phyllis Gale, started at Trinity when she was just a few years old. Both of my parents were very involved at church, so many of my younger memories revolve around their volunteering. I remember many a Sunday staying late to wash and dry the glass communion cups that were used at the time, or helping to set up for the Easter breakfast. My mom also helped with Vacation Bible School, and we'd be there before and after to help clean up, set up, and get the snacks ready for the day. I attended Sunday school and confirmation camp and confirmation camp class and other youth events. I was married at Trinity, and my husband Chris and I are now raising our 3 children here. As an adult, I followed in my parents' footsteps and volunteered and helped in the nursery and the Sunday school when my children were younger. And I've also helped and volunteered in the kitchen for Vacation Bible School, even running it for 4 or 5 years. As a family, we have worked in many a rummage sale and Easter breakfast, earning credits for our oldest son to go on mission trip and the national gathering. I've hosted tables at the annual Advent by Candlelight and also gone to the girls' tea with my daughter. These are just some of the events and activities that I've participated in here at Trinity. I am very blessed to be part of a church that has so many chances for involvement.
My name is Sam Bishop, and I was baptized March 14th, 2010. One of my favorite memories from church is the Christmas program. It was really fun doing different roles in the program because you could try a lot of things over your whole year to your 5 years that you were there. And you could choose a speaking part or non-speaking part or anything else like that.
My name is Jack Bishop, and I was baptized on March 30th, 2008. And one of my favorite memories with the church is being a leader at VBS. It was really fun to help them through the experience of VBS and seeing them really appreciate what we did.
My name is Kate Bishop, and I was baptized on March 10th, 2013. One of my favorite memories in church is going to VBS and getting to do all the fun activities.
Hi, I'm Britten Rodammer, and I was baptized August 5th, 2013. I really like Trinity because all the people are really nice, and it's just really fun to go here.
Go.
Hi, my name is Joyce Schenk. We moved here in 1979. We were born and raised in Minneapolis, where there is a Lutheran church on every other corner practically. And we moved over here, and not so many. We lived in the Cascade area first, found Trinity, and felt very much at home here. So that has been our church home, my church home, ever since 1979. One of the things we have always liked is the music program. Not just the choir and the organ, which have always been fantastic, but the extra musicians they bring in for holidays and special occasions, and also the programs that they might have. 2 of our children were confirmed here. My husband and I were very active in the program for home communion. We did that for a long time. And I think it was probably one of the better programs that the church has done, because people get a visit, they get to see other people in the congregation, they get their communion, and it was just very great. One of the things I kind of remember, Pastor Paul had just left. The week before had been his last Sunday. So now the next Sunday, Pastor Sarah was going to be in charge of the church and the services. It was in early summer, I think probably June. Anyway, there was a hostage situation across the street, across Fulton. And the police and the sheriffs were all over our parking lot and everything. And they told Sheriff Sarah to shut down the church. They couldn't have a lot of people coming around and didn't want people involved in this hostage situation. So the first Sunday Sarah was ever in charge of the whole church by herself, she just closed it down and everybody left.
Hi, my name is Ken Block, and I was born in 1940 in Butterworth Hospital, which was across from the old Trinity Lutheran Church on Crescent Street. I was baptized in March of 1941, and by 1945 I was in the youth choir singing, and I sang there the rest of my life. As a matter of fact, I'm still singing now. My life isn't over yet, I guess. So anyway, my wife joined me in the choir in 1962 when we were married, after going to Wittenberg and meeting there and getting married. And we were married, not here, but at Luther Memorial Church in Madison, Wisconsin. And from here on, you can take a look at the 2 of us as we progress through our church life. All 4 of our children and 3 of our grandchildren were also baptized at Trinity and participated in various choirs and musicals. During that time, Bev and I served on the church council for 12 years at different periods of time, usually serving as recording secretaries. Together, we were founding members of the Come Double Club, Couples Bridge, Men's and Women's Lenten Breakfasts, Adult Forum, family retreats at Yankee Springs, which is on Gun Lake. We were also co-chairs of Trinity's year-long centennial celebration with our very good friends, Mark and Mary Johnson. If you can see this emblem on my sweater, that is from the centennial celebration. I personally also served on the search committee that hired Pastor Cobb, and was also chairman of the worship and music committee when we transitioned from just one organist / choir director to 2 persons. Specifically, at that time, it was Helen Stoll was the music director, but Kathy Boltice was the organist, and both of them unfortunately have passed away. Anyway, I've also served as a chaperone for a youth mission trip to Colorado. Was Trinity's founding board member at Baxter Community Center, where we started a child care center. And then I was a Trinity's board member for the Bridge, a home for runaways. So, simply put, Trinity has been our way of life. So, happy birthday, 125 years. May you continue to grow and bloom with God's presence.
So I was baptized in 2013, and the day that I was baptized was on the very first Sunday that Pastor Bob was started, even though Pastor Sarah actually was the one who baptized me. And I remember doing the Christmas program, and I kind of like it. Stony Lake is just like a really fun and relaxing place to just relax and bond with your crew members. I mean, your cabin members. And same with VBS, and I like that because of the same reason. I remember that my sibling, they played Pharaoh in last year's VBS, and when she had long hair, and everybody was pointing out that she had purple hair, and it was funny, and that was one of my favorite memories.
My name is Marcia McClimans, and Bill and I joined Trinity down at the old church on Crescent Street in 1958, I believe. So I guess that makes us members for 63 years. So that they were in the process of finding a new place to build a new church. And when they found that place and had it in the makings, we were, Dee Fisher, and I think her husband, John, were asked to do the table decorations. And this is the table decorations that I don't know, I'm sure she had help from John, although she was certainly capable of doing, she was very artistic and doing good work. So, but one of the things that when I moved into Porter Hills, there was, I think they were doing a drive of some sort, and I was asked to see Irma Wilcox. And in talking to her, I found out that her husband was one of the builders of the church, which I thought was just fabulous. I didn't know her. She wasn't able to come to church because she didn't have that much mobility. But so that was an added bonus to run across somebody that was actually involved in the really building of this. So here we have the iconic cross tower, and I think we're all fortunate to have such a wonderful church and a wonderful cross tower.
Hi, we are the Waite family kids. I'm Spencer.
I'm Breslin.
I'm Sydney.
We've all been baptized here. We've been a part of the church our entire lives. And I'm sure we all have a lot of great memories. I know I do. From Stony Lake in like elementary and middle school, high school, I got to go on 3 mission trips and attend the national gathering. And then there were a lot of activities around here, like youth group every Sunday, volunteering at Kids Food Basket. I just really enjoyed getting to do things with my friends here at church.
Yeah, I've been going to Stony Lake since 2nd grade, and it's been a lot of fun. I've also gone to VBS for as long as I can remember, and Sunday school just like every week. It was just something to look forward to every week that I can just remember.
You loved hammocking.
Mm-hmm.
You signed up for it because you love to read a book in a hammock.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Doug Start. I've been a member of Trinity for most of my life. I do remember a little bit of the old church. My mom was a member, and Mom and Dad got married at the old church. And then, they moved over here. And then I was confirmed and baptized here. Pastor Heine confirmed me. And we did run into them years later up in Northport with our boys, and they had a cottage. Flora told us how to get there. And she told me not to tell anybody. And it was just going down 2 tracks. I don't know how I got there, but I got there. And then Joan and I were married here 40 years ago. Both of our boys were baptized and confirmed. Our oldest one was married in 2007, I believe. Yeah, 2007. And I did a lot of ushering. I was on the property committee for a while. There's been lots of changes around here. Some good, some bad. But yeah, we haven't been here for a lot because of the COVID. And I'd like to get back into it again. So when I had my bypass surgery, I got close to 300 cards and letters from people at church. So it's a close-knit community. And when I did have a kidney transplant in 2014, I didn't tell anybody about it because I didn't want a lot of publicity on it. And it was lucky for me, it was really fast. Happened real quick. It's only on a list for like 8 months. And other than that, yeah, we're still here, still coming back. The kids have moved away, but we're sticking around.
I'm Bill Schaefer, or William Schaefer. I've been a member of this church for 75 years. On my mother's side, my great-grandmother was one of the first members of this church, and she donated over $2,000 to build that church in 1895. They lived on Division, walked up to the church. My father joined the church after World War II. There were 2 Lutheran churches, German and Swedish, and we're the only English Lutheran church in Grand Rapids. I was confirmed in June 9, 1957. My 2 brothers and sisters were baptized and confirmed in the old church. I was in the boys' choir and practiced Saturdays from 10 to 11. As an older boy, Christmas Eve service I had to start 30 minutes early, with 10 boys lighting over 500 candles. Every service we would light the candles, we'd go down to the basement and sleep until Jerry Bohr, the choir director, ring the buzzer to come back up. We could climb the bell tower. On one Christmas Eve morning, the fire sprinkler system flooded the church. The fire department came and used large fans to dry out the carpet. All the choirs picked up the hymnals and placed them in Fellowship Hall by fans to dry out. The service that eve went out without knowing the mess that morning. In high school, Luther League was a thing. In the 1959 photo, Bill Beute, still member, was a wise man, and I was a shepherd. When the church decided to move east, many left the church and started Faith Lutheran Church on Fuller with our intern Bob Lignell, which is still in existence. The altar of our present church was broke on shipping from Italy. This is the replacement. When we worked on the plans for Centennial Hall, the stage drawing had the stage set out 10 feet into the room. Jim Bowman and I worked to get the 10 feet to the back of the stage, and you can see that from the parking lot. If you look at, there's still a low 10 feet out there. One of the boys in our Luther League climbed up the lantern over the altar. He was saying, "This is God." The pastor came and said, "That God better come down." To this day, it's still locked to get up there.
We're the Crossmans. I'm Bob.
And I'm Barb. I was baptized at Trinity, so I go back a very long way. One of my early memories in the 1940s is of the girls' chorus. Jerry Bohr met with 15 or so of us girls, teenage girls, once a week. Jerry was the organist at Trinity for almost 50 years and the choir director for most of that time. A few years ago, I ran into an old friend, and our hostess said, "How do you 2 know each other?" And my friend replied, "We sang in the girls' chorus together." Bob and I were married in the chapel of the old church in 1953.
I joined Trinity in 1958, the same time as Bill and Marcia McClimans. While trying to decide between my Episcopal Church and Trinity, I've received a phone call from Trinity's pastor, Richard Albert. He said, "I have sent for your transfer letter, and along with that of Marcia McClimans." And so I became a Lutheran. I suppose phoning me with surprises has become a habit with Pastor Albert. A few years later, he called me and he said, "Bob, I want you to be chair of the Worship and Music Committee." I said, "I don't know anything about worship and music." He said, "You were chairman of the Acolytes at Grace Church for a while, were you not?" I was. And so he says, "That's good enough, you're it."
Trinity was a man's world. There were no women lectors, communion assistants, or council members. In 1980, Ray Heine, who was our pastor at that time, was elected bishop. Pastor Samuelson became our interim pastor. He asked me to be lector for the Christmas Eve service. I said yes, but I felt a huge responsibility to the women of Trinity. It was a first. There was no sound system in the sanctuary. I made it through, nervous as I was.
Trinity and its members continue to make memories for us.
Well, hello to everybody. My name is Bruce Schlanderer, and I've been a member of Trinity Lutheran Church for 80 years. I was baptized with my older sister Midge and my older brother and my newborn sister Ann when my folks moved back from Plymouth, Michigan, and came back to Grand Rapids to live in my father's old house on Carlton Street. But a lot of memories going back all those years. I remember Dr. White. He was a pastor here for about 30 years. And I remember his wife very well because she would stand at the bottom of the banister that came from the second floor, Sunday school rooms, and she'd catch any boy sliding down the banister and she'd grab him by the back of the neck and give him a whack in the butt. You know, she was quite a strong lady. But those are fun memories. I remember Jerry Boer, and Jerry was the organist and had 4 or 5 choirs that he worked with. So that was quite a handful, quite a job. I remember once I was in the boys' choir, the little kids, and my dad told me, he says, "Now I'm sitting in the back of the church, and if I can hear you with your solo, I'll give you $5. And so, boy, when my turn came for the solo, I belted that baby out to get that $5. So that was a lot of fun and stuff. My dad was head of TIPA, which was the Trinity Young People's Association back then. And he worked a lot with the church on parties and so forth. We had a Halloween party for the TIPA group at our house, and he had rigged up a lot of good, neat things for to scare them to death in the basement. So that was a lot of fun. Also, Dr. White lived just this side of Lowell in a farmhouse, and he had quite a bit of property and a horse. And I could remember going out there with my brother, and we'd get on that darn horse, and he'd run the horse, and I'd ride behind him. We'd go up in the hills and everything, and that was my first experience around a horse, so that was a lot of fun. So it's been a wild but a good journey for me. My dad was a member quite a while. My mother was a member since she was a teenager. She sang in the choir with her sister Ruth, and so that goes back even farther. So it's been it's been a wonderful thing and a lot of very, very good memories. Jerry Boer, they had at the choirs and the organist would have boys' choir rehearsal on Saturday morning, and he would have a lot of pennies on his piano. And so he'd say, okay, what's the first note of the next song? And whoever guessed that note, he'd take a penny and flip them to him. So that was a lot of fun. So it was a neat thing, and I've enjoyed my years, 80 years, baptized. I was 2 years old. So it's been a wonderful trip through a wonderful church with a lot of wonderful friends that we've enjoyed over the years.
Have fun with it too.
Hi, my name is Paula Tibbe. I am a lifelong member here at Trinity Lutheran Church, and I'm very happy to share some stories about my connection here, specifically through the music department. When I was a small child, every Sunday I would draw a picture for the church organist Jerry Boer, and it was because I wanted to sing, but I couldn't read yet. So I would stand in church and make up the words and sing along anyways. So I could finally join church choir in 2nd grade, and I had my first solo when I did Beautiful Savior, a verse of Beautiful Savior. At 6th grade, however, children's choir ended, so I joined the adult choir as a 7th grader. I loved working with Helen Stroh. She was a former head of our music department. She had us do concerts and musicals, and some of my favorite memories are doing a song and dance routine from Godspell with my husband, Todd Osbeck, and Kurt and Judy Stroh. And then I sang a duet from Man of La Mancha with Dave Benkert. I also loved working with Kathy Boltheis. She was our former organist. And on her first day back after having brain cancer surgery, I was honored to be the cantor. And it was a very emotional day. I've also been honored to sing at many weddings and funerals throughout the life of people here at Trinity. And I hope that my music has brought some joy and comfort to them. And then finally, I have 2 short stories about special Sundays here at Trinity. One was a Palm Sunday when we had hired a donkey to have a procession outside of church. And of course, being Michigan, it snowed. So there we were, walking around the outside of the church, following the donkey, waving our palm branches, tromping through the snow in our Sunday finest. And then another service that I remember was Christmas Eve, when there was a big snowstorm and we lost complete power here at church. Christmas Eve went on. It was a completely candlelight service, and it was so cold we had to wear our wool coats underneath our choir robes, and we had only piano, so the final hymn was Joy to the World with the upright piano. Thank you for listening.